CQDX, CQDX, CQDX. This is Havana calling. CQDX, CQDX, CQDX. This is Radio Havana calling all shortwave listeners and radio amateurs. Welcome to... DXers Unlimited, Radio Havana's weekly feature dedicated to the fascinating world of radio communications.
Hi, amigos radio aficionados all around the world. Welcome to the weekend edition of your favorite radio hobby program, DXers Unlimited. Here's item 1 of today, learning more about the sun. When solar flares happen at a position of the sun where the intense radiations can hit planet Earth, then a sudden atmospheric disturbance happens. The SID, sudden atmospheric disturbance, will last just a few minutes, something more than an hour. And it is always very interesting to monitor the comeback of the radio signals bounce back from the upper layers of the ionosphere when the disturbance comes to an end. Now, practical radio tips, ham radio tips for improving the coverage of the most popular 2-meter band FM transceivers. The handy talk is used for amateur radio communications on the 2 meters band, replacing the factory rubber duck helical 1 antenna used by 2 meters handheld transceivers. The handy talk is with a homebrew telescopic whip that is extended to become a 0.28 or 0.32 wavelength antenna, produces an amazing performance improvement in both transmit and receive. At a recent antenna festival that took place here in Havana under the sponsorship of the Playa Amarena Variable Radio Club, I ran a demonstration of the tremendous increase in efficiency achieved with my 130 electrical degrees, 1/3 of wavelength long telescopic whip antenna connected instead of the rubber ducky on the 2-meter band FM handy talkie antenna connection. The tests were done with a long-range salon mountain repeater special stations from the nearby provinces of Mayabeque, south of Havana, Artemisa to the west, and the further way, Del Rio to the west, as well as to the Isle of Youth, located to the south, about 60 miles across the Gulf of Batabano Island. Yes, amigos, it is always a lot of fun to hear about the people that live in the Isle of Youth, to say that they are going to travel to Cuba and communicate with Cuba. Well, that's because they are right, because Cuba is the name of the main island of our archipelago, and also the name of the country. So the Isle of Youth is part of the country of Cuba. By the way, the Isle of Youth Special Municipality Radio Club recently elected a new president who is very deeply interested in promoting amateur radio among the almost 90,000 people that live in that island, located south of the main island of Cuba, across the Gulf of Batabano. This is the second largest of the Cuban archipelago. Amateur radio stations that operate from the Isle of Youth use the Charlie Lima 4, CL4, CM4, and CO4 code 5 prefixes. If you ever hear a CL4 or a CM4 operating on the 40-meter band segment between 700 and 1,725, then you're sure you'll be working the Isle of Youth. It's a rare prefix by all standards. Special event contest stations use a special permit to use the T44 prefix. That's a very special one for special events. This is Radio Havana Cuba. You're now listening to the weekend, and here is the next item of today's show. You have questions, and Ani tries to answer them as soon as possible via email. Many times, very similar questions come in to the email box, info.rhc@enet.cu. Let me repeat that slowly, info.rhc@enet.cu. So when this happens, I try to write a single answer that will fit the request that looks so much alike for many people. This is the case today. Several of our listeners from the USA, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, Finland, and New Zealand have written asking if there's, and finally, a well-documented criteria about the new solar cycle 25, especially regarding when the highest expected sunflower number is going to happen. This is a try and guess it. Well, amigos, the number of estimates, forecasts, and predictions, as they call them, about how solar cycle 25 was going to behave has been greater than during any of the previous solar cycles that I can remember. Oh, yes. Do recall the days of 1957, 1958 when I was an adolescent high school student, and until the winter of 1959, when DX signals from all over the world on the ham bands came using very low power and very simple antennas. For example, I had a 20-meter band dipole and 50 watts. I built a 2-tube CW transmitter under the guidance of my mentor, CM2DK, and with a World War II surplus receiver, BC-48 type used by World War II airplanes, I could work many stations on the 20 meters band And also, if you need to contact stations on the antipodes while running more than 30 to 50 watts, it was possible, especially using the 10-meter band DX conditions that lasted until way into the evening. Solar cycle 24 came to an end on December of 2019. But what's happening now? We're again in a solar null, very, very zero activity, almost zero activity for the past 29 days now. No sunspots have been watched, but be ready to watch more sunspots to come soon from cycle 24. Also, because cycle 24, although officially ended, may bring out some spare sunspots when the sunspots from 25 prevail. Sunspots from solar cycle 25 will prevail with the magnetic polarity reversed from the other ones from the previous solar 24. Here is cycle 24, magnetic reverse. Be ready for that, and we expect the solar cycle to be slowly climbing after about 6 months of the present state of affairs. I hope to see you all at the upcoming edition of DXers Unlimited. In the meantime, monitor the bands for DX conditions, especially at this time when sun is setting, the sunset conditions and the early morning sunrise conditions are going to be ready as we approach in a few days. Monitor the high frequency bands, HF bands for activity as we approach autumn equinox of the northern hemisphere. In just 2 days, the conditions will definitely improve. Send your signal reports and comments to info@rhc@enet.cu or via airmail. Send airmail to Arnie Coro. My last name is spelled Charlie Oscar Romeo Oscar. Arnie Coro, Radio Havana Cuba, Havana, Cuba.
And that's all for today. This is Arnie Coro, Radio Amateur CO2KK, your host here at Radio Havana's DXers Unlimited, saying 73 and very good DX.
Thanks, Arnie. Arnie Coro with DXers Unlimited, heard twice a week. The weekend edition that you just listened to, and the midweek edition that's on Tuesdays and Wednesdays here on RHC Radio Havana, Cuba.